what happens when one of your loopers breaks. Now, I've actually just been doing a 2-thread overlock, and so I do have a thread in the lower looper, but my upper looper is not been threaded. So we're going to pretend that the upper looper has broken and I need to fix it. So here's where I'm at. I've got it rethreaded to this point. But remember the order that we thread the serger in. There's a little order numbering right here. We always thread the upper looper first, then the lower looper, and then the needle. So right now, this chain that's going on, my needle thread is caught down and underneath that lower looper, plus the lower looper is threaded. So this order is not going to work at all. So first thing you need to do is get this needle thread from out from under. Now you can do a couple different things. I've got the presser foot up so I can kind of pull a little bit, but you can actually, if you just do this, if you just unthread the needle thread, this is the absolute key thing to remember. This thread cannot be left down in the throat plate underneath that lower looper when you go to rethread the upper looper, for example, or even the lower one. If you leave that hooked underneath, it will not stitch. It's just going to get you frustrated. You're going to try it over and over and over because you keep leaving this down there. So easiest thing to do, just unthread it. Stick it off to the side because we'll rethread it as the last thread in just a little bit. Now, the lower looper is threaded. Now, since it's technically the second one we need to thread, we might want to just kind of make sure that we're kind of over here out of the way. I've kind of pulled it this way. We're going to now go ahead and thread the upper looper. So I'm going to do my green one here. Look at my threads kind of untangled. I'm going to get my two little parts down here, kind of rethread it, making sure it doesn't catch under anything else that's not supposed to be threaded. And yes, all these guides are very important. Great. We can come up here, and now I'm going to just poke it through my upper looper. Slide that out. So what I want to do is just kind of pretend, okay, if that was my first one threaded, it would be behind my lower looper, then the lower looper thread, and then my needle thread. So I've just pretty much rethreaded the serger without having to rethread the entire serger. So fake it as much as you can, but just remember this thread. Also too, if you've moved for any reason your hand wheel, before you thread this needle, or if it's threaded and you've taken a stitch to just kind of reposition, that thread's going to go down and take a stitch. That's going to hook it under that lower looper. Not good. So before you stitch, as long as your 3 threads are coming straight out to the side or to the back, whatever works for you. Sometimes I like them off to the side so I can see them. I know my needle thread is not caught down any place underneath, and if you'd like to do that little trick where I just slide some fabric underneath so those first stitches get into the fabric first, everybody gets kind of hooked together right at the very first bit. I see that we're going. These little extra threads are going to kind of get pulled inside here. I'm going to take my scissors, just trim them nice and close, then that small little tail will just kind of slide out the back side, and we're looking really good here. As long as that chain gets going, you have threaded the serger correctly. And so the moral of the story is, if you have a thread break, lower looper or upper looper, get that needle thread out from down below, get it out of the sequence. You can just cut it. If you get really good at threading the needle, it's okay. Get the upper looper first, lower looper second, thread the needle last, and I guarantee you it is going to work out just perfect.